At the COP30 climate summit in Brazil were disrupted after a fire broke out inside an exhibition pavilion on Thursday, forcing thousands of delegates to evacuate. Security footage showed flames quickly spreading along the building's fabric lining before crews brought it under control. 13 people were treated for smoke inhalation, and officials say the fire was likely caused by electrical equipment. The incident came as negotiators were racing to make progress after already missing a key deadline to agree on climate finance and a path away from fossil fuels. A new draft text circulated by Brazil reportedly lives out a clear roadmap on transitioning from fossil fuels, one of the most divisive issues at the talks. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres pressed countries to reach a meaningful outcome, saying the world is down to the wire and watching closely. Developing nations also continue to demand firm commitments on adaptation funding, warning that failure in Belém would leave the most vulnerable at greater risk. In our news, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is ready to work with Washington on a US-backed plan to end the war following talks in Kiev with US Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll. Zelensky confirmed he has received a draft of the proposal and expects to discuss it directly with President Donald Trump in the coming days. The plan has sparked concern among European allies who fear it would force Ukraine to surrender more territory and partially disarm. Concessions, they say, resemble capitulation. Washington insists the proposal is balanced, with US officials saying it was shaped through conversations with both Kiev and Moscow. Zelensky says Ukraine is prepared for constructive and prompt work, but stressed that any deal must align with key principles important to Ukrainians. Meanwhile, Russia downplayed US efforts even as its forces claimed gains on the battlefield, claims Kiev denies. France and other EU countries maintain that peace must not come at Ukraine's expense. Meanwhile, in Africa, South Africa and European Union have signed a new partnership on critical minerals, with both sides pledging to defend multilateralism ahead of the G20 summit in Johannesburg. South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa says the deal will help his country move beyond simply exporting raw minerals by expanding processing at home and boosting its position in global supply chains. The EU is racing to secure key metals needed for clean energy, advanced computing and defense, amid concerns over heavy reliance on China. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says Europe's future economy depends on stable and diversified supply lines. The G20 meeting, Africa's first, comes as questions linger over whether the United States will attend. A potential US absence is seen as an opening for South Africa to deepen ties with Europe and China. Ramaphosa says the partners are united in defending democracy, human rights, and the rule of law at a time when global cooperation is under strain. And that concludes today's edition of World News in 5. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, I am Win Peñano. Good day.
News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.